Hey, other FAs around the world, I hope you're paying attention to the French Football Federation right now because they are absolutely constructing a beautiful footprint on how to truly develop the sport of futsal in a country, and they are reaping massive rewards because of it. They announced this blueprint a while ago, and it was recently covered over the summer by Futsal Focus, of course, the top news source for futsal news. And I love reading their articles. You guys should go check out the article on this. It will be linked in the description below. So I borrowed a lot from Steven's research on this to help me with the translations from French, but a ton of interesting points from the French Football Federation and Les Bleus, and their interest in futsal has done nothing but grow to a absolutely fever rate, and it shows. It shows in their attendance and their growth in their leagues and beyond. So let's talk a little bit about it. What is the actual plan? Well, there's three major pillars to this plan for the French Futsal Federation. And first is to elevate the elite level futsal in the country. Now, this pillar in particular is focusing on national team success and participation. Next would be, of course, enhancing competition. This is focusing more on that talent pool of what we would call high school level kids, and creating competitions to foster that national attention and growth and competition to see who backfills these elite levels. And then, of course, strengthen the structure. That, of course, in that pillar is talking about kids levels. We're talking about middle school, high school level kids, and infrastructure for the sport, infrastructure for kids in schools as well. Some pretty interesting numbers that go along with these pillars so far, and I think you're going to find this very inspiring. First of all, they have prioritized 18.5 million euros to futsal dating back to 2022 through 2025. That is an amazing, amazing number to hear when we look at football associations like the United States that have cut funding, or Wales that has eliminated their futsal program completely. So to see this happening in France and seeing the results of it almost immediately says a lot and creates a lot of hope that maybe some other FAs are paying attention. 18.5 million euros, guys. That is a massive number in the futsal world. We don't get to see that kind of money thrown around very often. And what's even more cool about it was the fact that they took it a step further and tried to submit a bid for the UEFA Euro 2026 competition. Now, they had a really cool hype video that went out. I'm going to put it up in this corner here for you guys to kind of see as I'm talking here, but you should go seek it out for yourself. I'll have a link to Futsal Focus's Facebook post that covered this as well. They linked the video there. I think it's a great place to find these kinds of videos. So you guys can watch it there and get the sound. Really great production value from the organization there and their bid and their seriousness to host Euro 26. Now, it wasn't meant to be. That's a story for another video, but they are putting tireless effort forward to become the central hub for futsal in Europe and in the world, which is super, super exciting. Now, the other thing about their progress is that the numbers don't lie. When you take a look at the numbers of futsal players in France, 14% increase in registered players last year, averaging over 10% increase over the last several years. Not only that, there are nearly 1,600 futsal clubs in the country now, with 130 of them registered with FFF. And it's really cool to see that many clubs growing around the country and kind of creating an official place to play futsal, similar to what we see in some other countries here that are trying to capture an academy program and build this thing out to create a natural path for players, which is really cool to see. Finally, 200,000 students are participating in futsal in their schools, which is really cool to hear that they're found a way to get into schools in France and find a way to introduce them to the game early. They're then in turn taking it to the streets and then, of course, turning it into a passion that takes them to these clubs and hopefully to a national level where they get endless supply of talent from inside of their own grassroots programs. So very cool to see this development. It really sparked some interest for me in a couple different ways. That's an opinion for another time, but A lot of things to think about there with those statistics, guys, and a lot of growth for futsal in one single country that is actually putting the effort forward. So very, very cool. Another thing that I think is interesting is the domestic growth within the country. Now, you see D1 from the French Futsal League has grown this year to a 12-team field. You saw their champions represent well in the Champions League. And then you also see, of course, the national success. So we take a look at the men's national team. They have officially qualified for the World Cup, which is why I chose now to cover this story. The investment is already happening. They are already getting a return. Their historic first ever Futsal World Cup appearance happens in 2024 in Uzbekistan. What a great achievement for this organization. Really, really cool. They will be joining Kazakhstan, Ukraine, champions Portugal. They'll also be joining the likes of Spain, as well as watching to see what happens with the next round of qualifiers, as the runners-up now will face each other to see who takes those couple final slots. So very exciting to see France coming out, and actually seeing some teams from the last World Cup not make it. Teams like Serbia, Slovenia, Slovakia. They beat Slovakia 7-1 to earn this right in the last game just a couple weeks ago. And the crowd there was fantastic. Another great token of success for the French Football Association, as they had 3,100 people in attendance for this game that they won 7-1. Very dominant win. Huge congratulations to France on a monumental achievement. And I gotta say, I am so proud of France for what they're doing there and how they are moving the sport forward. But it doesn't stop there. There's a more focus on national teams. Another goal of this blueprint was to create a women's national team. It's already been done. They've already participated in friendlies, and they are preparing for the soon-to-be Women's World Cup, which should come up in 2025. There's also focus on the U19 men's team, which competed in the Euros back in September. The U19 Euros, they had a very difficult go in a very tough group, but they were in every game. So it looks like the future for the sport is bright as well. This is not just a graduate class of players that are making this happen. It is top to bottom very strong. And then you'll also see the U21s and U23 teams that already exist continuing to participate in major competitions. So they will continue to be tested and tried for that national team level. This is really, really exciting. And there's even some women's championship competitions at the U18 level that are in works. And then there is a men's U18 competition for the country that will be coming up as well, that will help identify talent. So very, very cool stuff coming from FFF. What do you guys think about this news out of France? And what do you think about this giant swell from the country? I mean, for me, it's very exciting, and I cannot wait to see if other countries latch onto these ideas. Hopefully there's an opportunity there to collaborate with France and figure out what's working and not working and how it can apply to different countries. I understand that some things like working through schools can be complicated from country to country. Here in the United States, we have that struggle even state to state, let alone country to country, on finding a way to keep on level terms. Our domestic leagues can speak to that and how the rules are different in each state and makes it difficult to follow, but not necessarily entirely impossible. So maybe there's some inspiration there for someone within our own borders to find a way to inspire futsal for the generations here in the U.S. What inspires you about France, and how far do you think they will be able to take this historic first World Cup through the group stage? Are we going to see them in some knockout rounds? You tell me in the comments below. And as usual, don't forget to play with your soul.